Caribou. Hello.
Strong cup of coffee. Took my breath away
I
for
make
a
the
second.
coffee too strong.
Not too strong. How strong? Too strong. You know what that's from?
Remember the Titans?
Remember the Titans.
We're going to reference that every week.
How strong?
We just watched it.
Too
remember.
strong. If you haven't seen it, you need to watch it. It's on Disney. If you have that or maybe borrow it from somebody else, you need to make sure you check that one out because it's so good.
It is. It's a good 20-year-old movie.
Can't beat it with a stick. Can't shake it with a stick either. Is it shake it or beat it with a stick?
Can't. I don't know. What do you... It can't...
I don't know why I
beat
do
it.
that sometimes. I do that after I eat.
Oh, now that's all I'm going to hear.
Not anymore.
I don't know. Is it can't
shake a stick at it. Can't shake a stick at it. Hope we've had a lovely Thursday. Maundy Thursday at that.
Oh, it is.
Maundy Thursday. We'll break into that at the end of this conversation. Just give a little update on that. If you have any questions on Maundy Thursday or anything on life in general, just ask us. We'll give you an answer. As Kevin, my neighbor, and I and my kids were in the back.
Give you an answer.
Y'all, we were digging up all kinds of cool stuff. Not going to go into detail because we don't want the Historical Society getting involved, but let's just say it wasn't dinosaur
Apparently,
bones.
if you take
know
a
what I
metal detector into the woods behind our house.
Wow,
it says-
Moko. Wow. People have lived around here for a long time. So, anyway, had a blast. Thanks, neighbor.
Meanwhile, that meant that I had the house to myself for a little while.
It's
It
true.
was lovely.
Remember those days.
I just folded laundry, but I
She's
folded
such a
laundry
servant.
in peace, which was nice.
In peace. We come in peace always.
I used to say that I didn't fold the laundry because we were never home and didn't have time for folding laundry. That's not the case.
That's not true.
Now I'm realizing I just don't like to fold the laundry.
You just don't like it. So there's
I
that.
don't like it.
So there's that.
I can either keep up with the dishes or the laundry really well.
Yeah, just so many other things going on
I
right
feel
now.
like dishes are yuckier than clothes.
We've eaten well, though. Yay! That's what Susie says. Yay! So, guys, if you got a Bible, go ahead and grab that thing. We're going to be jumping into the Gospel of John, verses, chapters 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 10, 11, 12 tonight. I read them. I've got notes. I was just trying to remember. That's how I keep up.
I think it's
We're doing
funny
3
you
a day.
counted twice.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
10, 11, and 12.
10, 11, 12 on this. As we get into it, as other folks start jumping on, want to give some updates. I have not talked to Michael Malcolm. If you get a chance, send him a message or give him a call. Michael and Becca and their family, as we're continuing to pray for them. Bill Means just texted just a little bit ago and said his dad's procedure went well and he should be coming home tomorrow. Praise the Lord.
That's
so keep
great.
praying for the Means family. And then Hannah Lloyd, Hannah and Philip. Hannah.
There's Hannah and Philip.
There's Hannah and Philip probably. Y'all, Hannah's brother is one of my favorite people on earth. Both of her brothers,
Both brothers.
but one of them, my kids love him for lots of reasons, mainly because he's 3 feet taller
He's
than
the
me.
tallest person they know.
He's taller. They say, is he Davis tall? That's the measurement. That's the metric.
the standard of height.
Is he Davis tall? But Davis, man, I love that guy. Just got word from Hannah a little bit ago that he has had a very severe seizure. And he lives in a group home up on the north side of Atlanta. Thankfully, they did not take him to a hospital because of COVID-19 and everything. But please join me in prayer tonight for my buddy, for Hannah's brother, Davis.
Davis.
And then also her aunt that is being taken to the hospital right now with some pretty serious medical issues, not being able to breathe, tightness in her chest and things like that. So, and if you got a chance, Hannah Lloyd's right up there. You can message her. Hannah's been staying home quite a bit the last few days. Just precautionary, is with everything that's going on. But give Hannah a shout out or a call or a message on Facebook or something like that. Just let her know you're here for him. So anyway,
Okay, just taking it with you.
thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Mark's, if y'all don't know Mark, message that guy. That's Jonathan's dad from the UK, not the United Kingdom.
Oh, I was wondering.
The University of Kentucky side of stuff. I don't even. Mark, did you go to UK? Like, he lives in Kentucky. Let me just say this as we jump in.
We see a lot.
I've been a few places
UK
with
stuff.
your son, Mark, Jonathan. Been a few places, mostly church conferences. If you don't know, most of the Christian churches that we're a part of, everybody's related. I'm like a Baptist kid that jumped on the train late.
We are not related.
Showed up
but
late to the
everybody
ball game.
else-
I have been to 4 different things, big events with lots of people, with Jonathan Dawson. And we walk up, and Jonathan starts a conversation with some random guy wearing a blue shirt with UK on it, or a bumper sticker that says Kentucky Blue or something, 4 out of 4 times he has found a connection with the people from Kentucky. It's insane. Apparently there's either not a lot of people in Kentucky, or Jonathan's quite popular.
He knows all of them.
It's pretty impressive. So Mark, well done.
I feel like it might be a little bit like that for Georgia with us. A little
Maybe.
bit.
Maybe.
Not all
Most
the
of my
people.
events are in Georgia. Mark gets it.
That's true.
So anyway, we're having a good time. We're going to be jumping into the scriptures tonight. If you got a Bible, open it up to John chapter 10. And we're going to give some thoughts on this thing. If you have any questions on this, message them below, and we'll do our best to give you an answer on this stuff. But these are some good passages right here. So Kevin said praying. Oh, yeah, for real. Y'all be praying for Hannah, and keep doing that. Keep mentioning that out there. All right, let's jump into the Word right here, y'all. If you got a Bible, grab it. Open it up to John chapter 10.
Do it.
When Jesus talks about the good shepherd and his sheep. Chantel, you want to take this lead?
You can start.
Oh, I shall. One of the first things I underline, it says in verse 4, chapter 10, verse 4, and they followed him, and they follow him because they know his voice. I like that idea that Jesus says we will follow him and we will know the shepherd and we will know the Lord because we recognize his voice. That's twofold for me. It's the voice that we're going to hear when we get to heaven, and hopefully all of us will hear those words, well done, good and faithful servant. But through the Holy Spirit, we get a chance to hear his voice now. So I would encourage all of us, I'm encouraging myself, to familiarize myself with the voice of the Lord. I believe that God talks to us and the Holy Spirit leads us all the time if we're willing to listen. I love that. And they follow him because they know his voice.
And the very next verse says, they will by no means follow a stranger, but will flee from him, for they do not know the voice of strangers. So it just sort of expands that idea. It reminded me of a couple weeks ago when we were just talking about having discernment and false prophets and knowing the difference between the two. So right here it says the disciples didn't understand why Jesus was talking about sheep. And so he was trying to use this analogy, and I guess it was over their heads. But I think that the analogy is that if you know him, you'll know his voice, and also you'll know the voices of people who are not him. So you'll know the false prophets for who they are.
And and I'm jumping ahead to 11, but it ties into this. In 11:14, it says, so he told them plainly. This, to me, is one of the reasons Scripture is so real, because the disciples are writing these things like Gospel of John's written by a guy named John. In this story, in this little conversation, you'll notice there are a few times where Jesus is like, I am the shepherd. I am the gate. You know, he's like, let's just clear the waters. It's me. Like, ding, ding,
You
ding,
could tell
ding,
their
ding.
faces were like, what do you mean?
What does he mean? Are you referring?
He's like, it's me. I'm the one.
You're going
I'm
away.
myself.
Is he going on a cruise? Not right now, COVID night, too soon. You know what I mean? Like, no, he's not doing that.
Not going on a cruise.
Anyway, I like that one. That was really good. There's another verse in there, in verse 29, where it says, for my Father has given them to me. He's talking about who the Lord has given him. My Father has given them to me, and I love this. It says he, talking about God the Father, is more powerful than anyone else. No one can snatch them from the Father's hand. The Father and I are one. So Jesus is making a bold claim here. He's clearing the air when they're like, wait, are you kind of like saying that you and God? He said, no, let me clear it up. I and God are the same, and anyone that my God has given me, he's more powerful than anyone else. Never going to be able to snatch him out of my hand. I like that. That's a good reminder.
I like that too. Mitchell said he likes your shirt. Unless he's talking to me. Thanks, Mitchell.
Mitchell, who are you talking
It's
to?
charcoal
Clarify.
gray t-shirt. I know. It's
I'm
probably
going to wait.
mine.
I'm going to wait for the delay until
sure
Mitchell
it's mine?
responds. Mitchell, if you say her shirt, so help me. I will walk off of this back porch.
Mitchell does like this throw pillow that he gave us.
Oh, look at this throw pillow.
See, Mitchell, we use
Hashtag.
it. We
Thanks,
love it.
Mitch. I'm waiting for you, Mitch. I'm not going any further
I'm
in
trying to
Scripture.
make the delay less awkward, but he's going to really sit it out. So please type quickly. We all know you meant his, but now he's going to make you say it in words.
Come on, Mitch. Nobody's waiting.
You don't want to go to chapter
Obviously, Danny.
Obviously, Danny.
Mitch, you beast. I'm so humble.
It's
I had
okay,
no
we all
idea
knew
you were
it.
talking about mine.
We definitely knew that.
Thanks. This is a short sleeve. Look at this mug. Short sleeve one right there.
And stripes.
And stripes. This way stripes. Vertical. Like vertical horizon. You know that one, Mitch? You know what I'm talking about. Vertical horizon. You're a God and I am not and I. You know what I'm talking about? So good. He's
So
talking
in case
about.
you don't live with Annie, he sings a lot more than you realize. He sings a lot.
Just to know.
Oh, thanks, Mitchell.
Mitch, way to recover.
You're so sweet. Mitchell's
You're
so sweet.
sweethearts, what you are.
What a good cousin.
Back to the scriptures.
In law.
So that's what I got in chapter 10. Read chapter 10 if you haven't. Jesus breaks it down quite simply. Quite simply. You got
And
anything else?
then, I think we had all the same things for chapter 10. It's a good book, a good chapter about sheep, and then
Fans of the Bible.
it's well written, I think.
I think it's going to take. I think this Bible thing's going to
I
take
think
off.
it's going to sell. Maybe they'll sell a few copies. Chapter 11 was probably my favorite for tonight just because it's the story of Lazarus. Are we moving
Nice
on to
voice. These people are so good.
I know. So encouraging.
I thought it couldn't get any better when I was digging up cool stuff in the backwoods. But it's getting cooler now. I haven't heard that song in like 100 years. I've got so many. Continue. Go ahead.
So many.
Lazarus.
So tonight at dinner we asked our kids who Lazarus was, and they could not remember.
They're like, he got swallowed by a
They're
whale?
like, I don't know.
Nope.
No, they knew he wasn't the whale one.
They were joking by that point.
We said that something happened to him and it was the worst thing that could ever happen. And Luke was like,
Hurricane.
was he eaten by a shark?
Yeah,
and
went straight to the shark because that's pretty bad.
that's bad.
If you're going to get... That's
But
pretty
then
bad.
Caroline was like, that's Jonah and the whale. But then we said Mary and Martha, and they were like, oh, Miss Yvonne told us about
Miss
them.
Yvonne told us this story.
We
Well
know
played, Yvonne.
one of them was
Yvonne.
cleaning and one of them was listening. And so we filled them in about Lazarus, which was their brother.
If you had a lisp, how would you say Lazarus?
I'm not going to do that.
How would you say it?
No,
Say it.
I don't do voices.
Shonda.
You know that. Nope.
Latherwith.
No. Stop. That's terrible.
Latherwith.
Stop it. That's not nice. It's not nice. Stop it right now. We can't both.
What if Lazarus had a lisp?
I can't.
That
Anyway.
changes the whole dynamic of the story. I'm not trying to be sacrilegious. I love
You're
Jesus
gonna
and
do
I will
this
follow
at the
him
very
anywhere.
beginning of the story too.
But what if just in this story Jesus had a lisp for fun? Latherwith, come out.
Oh, Danny.
He wouldn't have done that. It's powerful. Take it away. Preach it.
Well, first of all, they call Jesus to tell him that his friend, who he loves very much, I think he's very close to this family and has been close to them for
Yeah.
a while. And the sisters call and say, you need to come right now. Jesus is in Bethel, or they are in Bethel?
Bethany.
Bethany. Yep, that's right. I don't see it on my paper, but yes. And apparently it's a little bit of a ways from where they are. Maybe a day or two
Yeah,
travel.
but not crazy far though. Not crazy. It says like
Because it
4
said
hours
like
away.
2 miles, right?
When Jesus arrived, Bethany was only a few miles down the road from Jerusalem.
Oh, so he could have made it right then. Okay, so they called and said, yes, Natalie, you better stop.
She was
She
talking to you. It didn't have a name on there.
No. She
How was the
talking-
test, Nally? Prayed
It
for
was
you this
good.
morning.
She passed it. It was yesterday.
Prayed for you. I did pray for you. And the
Prayed
test
for your test 24
this morning.
late, 24 hours late.
Wow, that's amazing.
She passed it. Yay.
Praise the Lord.
Go nursing school.
Being shut in.
We are shut. We're losing it.
We're losing our minds.
So Jesus easily could have made it
Forever.
to the bedside of his dying friend, and his sisters were like, we know if you come, you'll heal him. And Jesus doesn't come. He's just like, oh, okay, we'll get there. And so basically, he actually waits 4 days. And I underlined several different parts of this. So he finally comes, and when he does come, each sister separately, Mary goes out to meet him when he's almost there.
Can I say this one? Because this is before yours that you have underlined there.
Yeah, go ahead.
In verse 14, Jesus has this whole conversation with the disciples. He's such good friends with them. They have no idea what he's talking about most of the time. So he's like, well, Lazarus fell asleep. We got to go wake him up. The disciples says, what? He fell asleep? Has it been a long weekend? It says in verse 14, so he told them plainly, Lazarus is dead.
These guys are really dense in this part of the story.
Take it off.
And John didn't even give him any
And Thomas's
benefit.
nickname is the twin. Who knew?
I didn't know that I was going to ask you the same thing. But, okay. So he's
Sure.
like, no, he's not really sleeping. He died. So we have to go see him. So then they go see him. But he's been dead. They
4 days.
buried people the same day because it's hot climate and
Mm.
everything. So he's immediately buried. They said that in this day and time, they would immediately cover your body in all these expensive spices and oils and then wrap cloths around you and put you right into the tomb, which was basically the graveyard. And so then, it's okay, you can go.
Our son's putting on Velcro
He's
shoes.
being as quiet as he can.
If you couldn't hear in the background, I was going...
Where
That
was
adorable.
it? So they put him in the grave, and then it's 4 days later, and that's what I was going to say. Verse 17. So when Jesus came, he found that he had already been in the tomb 4 days. My Bible had a little note at the bottom that I thought was really cool. Apparently, there was this myth in the Jewish culture that after you were buried, your spirit hung around over your body for 3 days, just sort of like waiting to go to the next place. and then it would depart, and it was like you could for sure not, you were gone forever, like your spirit was gone. And so Jesus, they think that the fact that he waited until the fourth day left no doubt that this was 100% miracle, even with the mythological belief that maybe you could come back to life in the first 3 days. I don't know what your spirit was doing during that time, but he waited even one more day, so then there would be no doubt. And so when he comes almost to the place, Mary runs out to meet him and says, I wish you would have been here, you could have healed him. And Jesus said, I can still bring him back to life. And she's like, I know, and we all go to heaven. And he said, no, I really can't. And so then she runs back and tells Martha, hey, Jesus is coming. And so then sure enough, they sort of establish that Jesus thinks that he can heal Lazarus, and he goes and calls him out. And Lazarus walks out with the little cloth still around his head and hands and feet. Did you want to add anything, or are you good? You just
I like that. There was a fly went by.
I saw that.
The shortest verse in all the New Testament, all the Scripture says Jesus wept. What does your translation say? This is New Living's good. Sometimes I'm just saying. Okay, it says in verse 33, when Jesus saw her weeping and saw the other people wailing with her, a deep anger welled up within him. What does yours say?
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at Mitchell's comment. I guess I said the spirit was chilling.
They're just chilling.
They are. I don't think that's what mine said.
The spirit was just a chilling. Chilling.
It
Probably
said it hovered over the body. Okay, verse 35. I'm sorry.
Then Jesus wept.
Mine says Jesus wept.
But right before that, in verse 33.
I'm sorry. What was your question? I'm looking.
In verse 33, when Jesus saw her weeping and saw the other people wailing with her, mine says a deep anger welled up within him.
Oh, mine says he groaned in the spirit and was troubled.
I like that translation better.
And he said, where have you laid him? So basically, everybody is seeing that he's actually grieving for
Jesus is moved. This is one of the greatest verses in the New Testament, and there's dozens of them, pretty much the whole New Testament, but specifically that address the humanity of Jesus. And there's like all kinds of deep stuff we could get into. Jesus was fully God. He was fully man. Y'all, God became a person, in Jesus. So it says that he weeps. So later in the New Testament, when we have this idea that we have the advocate, the Holy Spirit, in Hebrews, it says that Jesus is the great high priest, this our intercessor, like he knows the difference. This is one of the reasons I think why, because Jesus experienced very real human emotions. So it says that Jesus wept. And then, to me, this is just kind of foreshadowing a little bit, John, maybe, you know what I mean? In verse 38, Jesus was still, mine says angry, he was still struggling as he arrived at the tomb and saw a cave with a stone rolled across its entrance. And then it says here in verse 39 in the New Living Translation, roll the stone aside, Jesus tells them. And Martha's like, no, he's going to stink, which is a weird, truthful but weird thing to say.
My brother from the dead.
I get it. She's like, oh, Jesus, we have to do this. It's getting weird. But it's just cool to me.
In her defense,
Jesus is commanding other people to roll a stone away. And then right after that, he's like, I'm going to do this for myself. Pretty cool. He was angry in his spirit. I like that. All right.
And then people, in verse 45, it starts a plot to kill Jesus yet again. And I guess you were telling the kids earlier that they even...
Look in it's in chapter 12. So imagine this.
Oh, okay, later.
You're Lazarus. You get called out of the grave. Pretty cool. Where have you been for the last 3 days? Whole other discussion.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
so in chapter 12, verse 10, says the leading priest, because they're so mad at Jesus, plot to kill Lazarus too.
That's right.
Lazarus can't catch a daggum break. It's like, up from the grave he arose, let's kill him again. It's just insane. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, that's depressing that after being raised from the dead, the whole town wasn't
Tombs don't smell good. They probably
on the
stuck.
same page. Sorry, you're getting text message. I'm just like
I'm getting text. There's so many
distracted.
things happening. It's like woof. Justin.
Okay, I wanted to talk about this one verse. It's back before they plot to kill Lazarus. They verse 51 and 52. It says, he prophesied that Jesus would die for the nation, and not for that nation only, but also that he would gather together in one the children of God who are scattered abroad. This is Caiaphas. He's the high priest, and he's sort of already saying, like, well, he's going to unify everybody.
Look at what he says right before that, foreshadowing, like, God's, and that's what it says after this, like, God's using this. He doesn't even know God's using him right now. It's better, in verse 50 of chapter 11, it's better for you, talking to the people, that one man should die for the people than for the whole nation to be destroyed. He's saying that Jesus is going to do what Jesus is going to do, But
No
he's saying it
matter
in a
what.
different way. He's like, if we just knock this thing off, everything else will go back to normal.
And I think it's later, or is it right here that says, like, if you knock down one piece of, I'm looking for it, hold on. It's in chapter 12. Most assuredly I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it produces much grain. So I think what they knew is basically, eventually Jesus is going to be a martyr.
Yeah.
And that's going to create this whole uprising.
Yeah. But they know, and this is getting way ahead, it's in Acts. We're thinking about preaching through Acts. But it's in the book of Acts.
We're not.
Where
He is.
I'll be doing that one. Have a little more time to myself. But, and I think it's in the book of Acts. I'll have to get the exact phrases later. Somebody probably has it memorized. But it says that the high priest, the same jokers, these same people, like, this is not the first Messiah type figure that has shown up on the scene. He's the first real one. Jesus is the only real Messiah. We're clear that air. But other people had come along working miracle type things, getting crowds. But Jesus is the first one that we'll read in the book of Acts later, after the resurrection and everything, that they killed and his disciples didn't disappear. Like, this is the reason, like, I read this, I'm like, that's harsh. Why are they always after Jesus? This was their game plan, you know? Like, this wasn't the first person they had done this to. People that caused any type of ruckus, just kill them. Like, the high priests were pretty good at this thing. If you just kill them, their disciples will go away. The earlier you can kill them, the better. Anyway, kind of hardcore, but cool.
And then chapter 12, it
Chapter
gets
12.
into like
Look at
Palm
that.
Sunday.
Look at the very first one, though. It says a dinner was prepared in Jesus' honor. Martha served. Lazarus was there. It's just a cool, like, John's like, oh yeah, Lazarus was there, just eating some bread, hanging out with a bunch of other people that aren't dead.
Also, always forget that Mary is the one who anointed
That's
Jesus'
cool.
feet with oil.
Beautiful.
It's the same Mary. You kind of know her name is Mary, but I forget that it's the same Mary. I probably shouldn't, but
Absolutely beautiful. But yeah, it gets into Palm Sunday, which we covered last week. This next Sunday, I didn't go over that in verse 11. I'm sorry, in chapter 11, but that's the Easter message. I mean, Easter is being summed up there. It says, Jesus says, I am the resurrection. We're going to break this down a little bit more. Easter Sunday sermon. Check it out, 10 a.m. Sunday. But to me, that's cool. One quick little spoiler or quick little like hint about what's coming on Easter. We are called as Christians to celebrate the resurrection, but it's not just an event. The resurrection is a person, and that person's name is Jesus. That's that'll preach. That'll preach right there. The only other thing I had in chapter 12. Did you have anything in chapter 12?
I underlined 28 because I don't know that I've heard this before. And maybe,
That's what
have you noticed it before?
I underlined it.
Did you know it?
Well, I had it memorized in 3rd grade.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Did you really know about it?
I had overread this one.
I did not know this. This is new information to me. So Jesus sort of has this conversation. They are at a festival where this is fast forward to Palm Sunday, and now they're at the feast after the palm branches happen, and the people are realizing that Jesus has a following. And then he says, the hour has come that the Son of Man will be glorified. Follow me where I am. My servants will be also. If anyone serves me, him my Father will honor. Then it says, now my soul is troubled, and what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour. But for this purpose I came to this hour. Father, glorify your name. And then in verse 28, it says, then a voice came from heaven saying, I have both glorified it and will glorify it again.
Bam. That's good. So Jesus is right, like baptism. This is my son in whom I'm well pleased. Second time. And it says right after that, some people thought it was thunder.
I didn't know that.
Other people said, man, that's God talking. That's legitimate stuff right there.
If I have learned this before, I had forgotten it.
Absolutely love
I
it.
think that's really cool. And it's just the literal voice of God. And then the very last thing I had was just verses 44 through 47. Jesus is saying, I'm the light, believe in me. If you believe in me, you'll walk in the light. But I've noticed a lot in the book of John this week, something I've not noticed. He consistently tells people, I'm not the one to judge you. I'm not going to judge you. It's not me. Follow me and you'll be in the light. But really, God is the judge. I mean, it's a Trinity thing. He is God and he is God in the flesh. But what he continues to say is, I didn't come to judge the world, but to save it. If you reject me, you reject who I came from, and you're just rejecting the Father. But it's like he clarifies over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
This
like
is really
that.
not my part of the story. My
Right
part is
in
to
this,
save you.
Dwight
The
Walton's doing
judgment
this.
is
The
at a
judgment's
different
coming.
part.
That's
Yeah.
a different time. This
Later,
is all
but
about
right
it.
here,
Absolutely.
He keeps saying it.
In verse 43, and this is another theme I picked up in John, now that we're just reading this thing through, like one solid book, you pick up on these phrases. Jesus says in verse 43 of chapter 12, for they loved human praise more than the praise of God. He keeps hitting on this. that something genuine in the Christian faith is loving the praise of God more than the praise of anybody else. And one of the struggles that the Pharisees continued to have is they wanted the praise of other people more than Jesus, more than God himself. And it's because it says right before that a lot of Pharisees believed. Like, there was a movement happening, but they were too afraid to say anything.
They didn't want to lose their position.
They didn't want to lose position or like feel awkward around people. And then in verse 45, that's it. Jesus says, "For when you see me, you are seeing the one who sent me." So, if you're wondering what God looks like in the flesh, he looks like Jesus. What did Jesus look like? A Middle Eastern Hebrew guy. But, like, this is it right here. Like, Jesus is God in the flesh. So he says, "For when you see me, you're seeing the one who sent me." So if you're wondering ever, man, what is God like? What is God saying? What is God doing? It sounds simple, y'all, but we always say, go back and read the red letters of the New Testament. See the things that Jesus said, because Jesus is God in the flesh, and he's saying that to them. But it's a good reminder for us today. With that, I pass to my left.
That's all I have. That's all I had underlined. Anything?
Beautiful.
Did you guys have anything that we did not cover? I know we breezed through it.
He's a
Danny
carpenter
is
bee.
distracted
He's a
by
carpenter
carpenter
bee.
bees.
And he's digging in my pole, my thing.
We have an ongoing battle with carpenter
There he is.
bees here, so he's distracted for a moment. And he's getting up to fight the bee. So we sort of breezed through those 3 chapters. Please excuse Danny while he fights the
Y'all, they keep, they'll mess that stuff up.
bee.
Can't let it happen.
We have traps.
I'm going to put the
Kevin
trap out.
made us a
Kevin,
trap.
you made us. Where's the trap?
I don't know.
We got to find our
I
trap.
just know that we had one.
I got bee juice.
We digress. I'm sorry.
If you have any comments or questions, make sure you write them on here. We'll make sure to address that.
It is really cool to read the whole gospel straight through in one
Read
week.
the whole gospel straight through. I'm enjoying it.
There's a lot of themes in
A
there.
lot of themes in there. Today is Maundy Thursday. It's spelled Maundy. Haven Fellowship Church and some of our Haven Fellowship. Sandra's on there. Perfect timing. All right, read that question. I'll get to it in a little bit. My Haven Fellowship folks, we always did a Maundy Thursday service, which was beautiful. And I absolutely loved it. If you're not out of a tradition that celebrated Maundy Thursday, our kids are angels. That's it. But that's one of the questions. But on Maundy Thursday, it's a service where a lot of churches gather together and remember the Lord's Supper together. It's the day in the church calendar around the world that the church remembers Jesus breaking bread. Like at Lake Point Church, we have communion every Sunday because Jesus, New Testament, Book of Acts kind of thing. But the very first time, Jesus says, "This is my body, which is being laid down for you. Every time you eat of it, remember me." That took place, what the church believes, on, like, for real, like this day in the church calendar, in the calendar year. So it's a little bit different for us tonight because we're in our homes. But I would invite you, after we conclude here, what we've done while the kids are already distracted for a little bit, is we actually, as soon as we push finish on this thing, we spend just a minute or two, not very long, just kind of catching up, talking about this. I would encourage you, and I'll do that with Shantae if she's game. Like, I stabbed her just now.
It just really hurt me.
It's that middle finger. Every time. The middle finger gets me. Oh, I just flicked off the world every time. But knowing that on Maundy Thursday, this is the day that we remember Jesus having the Lord's Supper. This is also the time that Jesus went around the room with his disciples and washed their feet. We're not going to wash your feet
supposed to be
via
gonna
the
wash my
internet.
feet right
I
now?
thought about it, but it weirded Shantae out.
He did
But
not
there's
ask
so
me. That was not a
much
conversation.
power in that imagery. We don't wash feet a lot in our day and age. Just we wear tennis shoes and socks or cool flip flops or something. But in Jesus' day, it was huge. If you had any clout at all, if you had any money at all, and you were having a wedding or a party or a festival or a feast, you would have one of your servants, not the owner of the home, one of your servants stand at the door and literally get on their hands and knees with a basin and wash the feet of the guests as they came in. It was a sign of respect to everyone that came in, a sign of lifting everybody up, but it was extremely demeaning to the person that was washing the feet. And that's what Jesus takes on here on Maundy Thursday. He gets on his hands and knees with a wash basin and a towel, and he washes the disciples' feet. In that same conversation, Peter says, "What are you doing? You can't. He said, you are it." And Jesus comes back with a beautiful comment, says, if I don't wash you, you will never be saved. You will never be clean. So Peter, being Peter's like, wash my whole body. Let's do a shower. Let's make it. And Jesus is like, come on, Pete, just give me your feet. But he goes around and washes the feet of everybody there. It's a beautiful picture of what Jesus came to do. He came to serve, and he calls all of his followers. Everyone, I pray that every one of us that's been watching this thing have decided to be followers of Jesus. He calls us to serve him and to put the needs of other people first. Seek the praise of God before we seek the praise of anybody else. So on this Maundy Thursday, I would invite you to spend a few moments in prayer after we hang up in a little bit here. Thank the Lord for what he's done. Thank him for his example. Thank him for choosing to wash your feet and my feet. And then if you're up for it, man, invite his Holy Spirit to guide you to become more like him as we look to serve and to wash the feet of other people. If you really want to freak somebody out, break every rule, go to Walmart tomorrow and ask the girl at the cashier to wash your feet. That's not probably, no. Jesus is not saying to do that. But I believe he is saying, be kind, be gentle, love your enemy. I mean, all those things are coming out. So I'd invite you to do that. Did you read some of those?
Natalie said, did Lazarus ever say anything? Did he ever record saying anything about being dead or what it was like? It would have been nice.
He didn't. That would have been cool, though. Lazarus would have sold some copies of
to
that.
have known about what it was
Purpose-driven
like.
life, part 2. You know, like, no, he didn't. And Lazarus is the only guy that we know, according to Scripture, only dies twice. You know, like, because he dies again. I'm sure the death the second time wasn't nearly as scary as the first time. Because he's like, well, been through this.
Sorry, Pastor Rob, can't call.
Sorry, y'all. Is it still recording? It says live.
So.
We'll keep going with it.
Looks like it. I was just thinking about the whole washing feet thing, about how last night Nathaniel was covered in mud. And then we went inside and washed him off. And then somehow, within 10 minutes, they were outside with Daddy and back in the mud. So we do wash feet more than...
We wash them over and over and
more
over
than
again.
The average bear. Our kids, because of me, I think, it could be because of you, they play outside barefoot.
We're barefoot
all
kind of people.
The time. So we always have
people
have feet with
to wash.
dirty feet to wash.
Always doing that.
But it is a good symbol. I mean, I really
it is a good
have
symbol.
some familiarity with dirty feet.
Yep.
And they really probably did. They walked in sand and all kinds of
they were dirty. I mean, their
nastiness,
feet were
and they
just dirty.
probably
They
had
walked
just
everywhere.
sandals. So
So it's the imagery there, and the Last Supper is there as well. Barefoot family, like
I think it's
the
in the
picture.
genes.
And just think about that, y'all. And we're not going to do a whole Maundy Thursday service. I considered it, but I thought we'd just have this conversation tonight. But I would want to stress that point before everybody dips out. Dips out. That is what Jesus came to do. You figure Palm Sunday was big for him, where everybody was lining the streets and singing Hosanna. To me, that's not what it was about for him. To me, it was about coming and washing the feet of his disciples, coming and saying, something's coming up.
There's wildlife chasing.
Coming and saying, I am here to serve. And he calls us to do that same thing. He says, if you want to be like me, serve one another, love one another. But on this night, y'all, 2,000 or so years ago, Jesus was in an upper room in a home having a meal with his best friends and with Mary and Martha. And they were together preparing what the disciples thought was to be like this revolution. It was going to be huge. But think about this with me, and then I'll stop talking. As Jesus was washing his disciples' feet, as he was breaking that bread and passing it out, he knew that within 24 hours, he would be on a cross. He knew it. Like, I know what that feeling, which is nothing, like that feeling you get before you're going to run a 5K the next day or a race the next morning. I go to bed, I'm like, I got to get up early and like try to eat a banana. Well, like I got to try to do this, but you know it's coming. I don't know. And I'm going to get
It's not the same as a 5K.
It's not the same as a 5K. But knowing, just think about that when Jesus went to sleep, and he stayed up in the garden and prayed for a long time. But when he went to sleep that night, if he ever got any sleep that day, he went to sleep knowing what was coming next. And he still was willing to get on his hands and feet and wash the feet of his friends because of his love. He loves us so much. So
Was he in the garden immediately following the Last Supper, or was it the next?
that was the next day. That's
day?
on. Oh mercy, I should have. It was the next. Oh man, I need to figure that one out. I don't want to give the wrong answer here. Good Friday. That's when Jesus actually crucified. So Mike, this is just Danny
It
here.
could have been the.
Late this night, so early Friday morning.
I think it's
Monday, Thursday dinner. Like this is the preparation for Passover, which is crazy. Jesus was partaking of a Passover meal. My buddies, I sent a buddy of mine pictures of the things we found in the woods.
We're getting text messages
Anyway, he's
for
telling
those
me
of
what
you
it
who
might
can't see our screen.
But knowing that on this night, on Monday, Thursday, they had the meal, they continue with the meal. Later into the evening, Jesus goes out into the Garden of Gethsemane,
it's the same night.
and he asks his friends to pray with him, and they fall asleep a few times, and he continues to pray. You figure John's Gospel has 21 chapters in it, and we're only in chapter 12. John dedicates almost half of his whole book, to the crucifixion and the resurrection, because he knew that is what it's all about. It's all about that. So celebrate
Also,
Monday,
if you
Thursday.
have the Bible app and you read the verse of the day today, you can click through to read the whole chapter. It is the Last Supper and into
The Last Supper.
Garden of
If we had
Gethsemane.
lined this up differently,
I think it's the same.
we could have
day.
covered that.
Yeah, all the same one event in that. It's in Matthew.
in Monday, Thursday. Tomorrow night is Good Friday, and we're doing something a little bit different. I think now, Justin, if you're still watching, we were going to do it around 7 o'clock, around the same time. We'll find out tomorrow. I should know that by now. But Jonathan Dawson and I are going to have a conversation about Good Friday, and it's going to be on a Zoom somehow set up where it's going to be live in front of everybody. But I think we might even do it around this same time.
So they can zoom in. And
So y'all can at least just show up tomorrow at 7. See what happens. It might be earlier in the day. I need to find out those details. Should know those
if
by
it's
now.
a Zoom, you'll have a code that you can type in, or you'll receive an email.
Yeah,
And
I
then
don't
you
think it's
can-
going to be like that. I think it's going to be me and Jonathan are going to be zooming with each other, and it will be
I
projected
see.
as live
That makes
to
sense.
everybody else. But just as we prepare our
more
hearts
sense.
for Good Friday, y'all think about it. I know I've said that a few times. This is the first time that I know of in Jewish history, at least in the state of Israel's history, that all of the Jewish people will be celebrating Passover, which is an Old Testament tradition, celebrating Passover in their homes, not going to the temple, not going out to worship, in their homes. The first time Passover took place, it was in Exodus. It was Moses, that crazy cool story where Moses told the Israelites, put the lamb's blood over your doorpost, and the Spirit of the Lord, the Spirit of death, will pass over your house. To know that that's happening, and then to know for us, on Easter morning, it's the first time in my life, first time in your life, that we will ever not be at a sunrise service and not gather together with other believers in a building. But I think it's pretty cool that we're going to gather together with 1 billion plus followers of Jesus in their homes on Easter morning and lift up his name. It's going to be cool.
Yeah, very serious tone. It will be cool. It is a very neat.
She likes the serious tone. I know.
Don't exaggerate.
Oh, there's no exaggeration. We went a little bit longer tonight because I was talking about
I
Monday,
do think
Thursday.
it's very cool that this Easter will stand out. It's not going to be some of the most happy traditions that we love this year, but I think we'll remember
do some
this
new ones.
Easter.
We
and
will remember this Easter. And I'd
what
encourage
it's
you to
like.
watch it tomorrow, and we'll be shooting stuff out and emails and stuff out about that Good Friday service.
So-
Plan on being
so
here
Danny and I will not
at
be on
7
our-
o'clock tomorrow night either way, and we'll make sure something's going on then.
It'll probably be Danny and not me.
Shantae will look a little different tomorrow night. But and then join us Easter morning at 10 o'clock
10
on our
a.m.
website, on Facebook pages,
Vimeo.
on YouTube, Vimeo,
All
and
the
we will
ways.
be celebrating the resurrection of Jesus together. But on this night, I would invite you to spend a little bit of time remembering what Jesus did, because it's huge. Saved my life forever. And he wants to do the same for everybody. Thankful for you. And we look forward to checking in with everybody tomorrow.
Love you guys.
Love
Bye.
you guys.